Hello, Gare Bears above and beyond into the universe. Yes, we are back with another edition of the Gare Bear Review. This time, if you didn't notice, we were going over a classic 90s cartoon, but unfortunately, it's not that cartoon. It's actually a real live version. And no, not that live version at all either. We're going over the reboot that Michael Bay decided to do and ruin everyone's childhood and memories. So let's do this. So like I said, I am a '90s kid. If you haven't known that before, if you know that before, so I'm actually a really big fan of the original franchise. Which, if you didn't know, I happen to have on VHS. And yes, the first one is over there somewhere. I just can't reach it. Yes, the first, second, and third, the trilogy of probably one of the best turtle cartoon adaptations of my day, anyone's day, should be really anybody's day. It was actually it came from actually, if you didn't know, it came from a comic book series, which was way more grittier than the cartoon show, the TV show, anything that came after that actually. And I personally loved every second of the comic book, and I loved the movie franchise, and I love the cartoon series as much as probably as possible as I can. Uh, but Michael Bay decided to reboot it, and I had to stick my nose into this because it hits home pretty hard, because it's a series that I enjoy, that I don't want to see fucked up for generations to come. Um, Now look, I know what you're saying. Oh my God, the originals. They suck. They were weird. Look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Granted, the originals had their quirks, if you will. It was, as well as being corny to some extent, and whatnot. But it worked. It was actually real. Like, for a kid, that's what we loved, and we ended up loving it and emulating it like they do now. There's actually, what, I think either two turtle series out right now, with Sean Ashton from Lord of the Rings and Goonies. This hit a lot of buttons for me. It was the original series was really great to watch, especially as a kid. Like I said, unfortunately, since I am a '90s kid, I'm going to actually compare this version to the original set, to the original franchise. Not to mention the comic book. There is one thing I can say about this, is that I can say it could have been way more worse than I was expecting. It was it had its moments, um, but the majority of it, is, I could say, that it was really bad. Unfortunately for the big fans of the Turtles, a lot was taken out of this film. Mostly character based and story based. The problems, like they didn't add. There was no Casey Jones, Krang, Bebop, and Rocksteady, which we were actually all hoping to get in the second version of this, but we got the Tokar and Razor, which, all right, whatever, but still, they're rip-offs. But I personally would have loved to see Bebop and Rocksteady in this film, considering that they didn't do it at all in the previous in that franchise. The list goes on, though. Granted, and unfortunately, there may be like maybe two more sequels, or a few more sequels in store in later years. Because it's Michael Bay, so they may add. I'm hoping they will add other factors into it. And again, it's the first film, so it's usually the boring one with all the information to give you, what's going to go down in future films. I was extremely happy, though, that Michael Bay, who directed, wrote, and produced this film, he ditched the alien storyline, and they even made fun of it within the movie, which I gotta say I loved. If you don't know this factor, basically what the storyline was going to be, which threw everybody up in arms, which it probably started a few riots at Mr. Bay's house. Um, they were planning to do a alien-based storyline where the turtles didn't come from a lab or they didn't, they didn't go into ooze and then mutate into the turtles that we know, and the kung fuing turtles that we know and love. They were originally they were going to come from space and were aliens from out. They were going to be aliens from outer space, to supply to be the heroes of the where they are, in New York City. And they made fun of it, which is actually kind of good because they needed to. It needed to make fun of itself, and it needed to do what it needed to do, and it did. If you can follow along with what I'm saying. But the thing is, it seemed to be focus a lot on Megan Fox, which, personally and normally I don't mind. I don't have a problem with that. But, it's not with a film that needs to focus on its heroes and not a sub-character. You have 5 turtle, who know karate. Not to mention a rat who teaches them and is their father. Which, by the way, they don't mention at all. They don't say anything within that or in the comics or in the cartoon series, let alone that they keep calling him father. It was just interesting to see they went completely different with this storyline. What they did was they made April O'Neil the vocal point here. They made her and the Turtles family. She had them as a child, gave them to a lab, and she named them after the Renaissance painters, and that's where it derives from. I know it's interesting, but it's not what people wanted. At least that's not what I wanted in this film. There wasn't enough turtle power. The dialogue for the turtles was a little bit weird. I don't know if it was because of the voicing and the way they were acting with it, but it was just awkward. It wasn't even quotable like the other ones. I can't even think of a quote off the top of my head, and I've seen this movie at least twice already, possibly 3. I can't even keep count anymore. The story, like I said, the story was horrible. It was super shoddy at best. There was no feudal rivalry between Splinter and Shredder like in the original franchise and in the comic, because you need the feud of the old masters teaching him kung fu and so on and so forth. If you're true fans, you know what I'm talking about. It just didn't have that, and Shredder was just beyond weird. There was no need for the detachable claws or whatever he was like. He was fucking Wolverine, basically. That's what it was. Tony Shalhoub did the voice for Splinter, which, if you're thinking, hey, he's not Asian, well, congratulations, you're right. And seriously, it was really awkward because they made Splinter look stereotypically Asian and probably borderline offensive to most people, at least in my opinion. And it didn't help with an American accent. He tried, and what made it worse is that he tried to do it, which just made it even more worse. And it was just not helping the case. There is one thing one thing good about this movie I do have to say is that now one of the best things they did was they gave the turtles each have personalities. One has this, one has that, one, blah blah blah. They did that amazingly, and they matched it perfectly. Raph was the mysterious one. Mikey was the super pervy one. Like seriously, like masterfully pervy. It's like it was awkward for a kids film. It was super awkward. Granted, it was PG-13, but still, it was super awkward. The turtles were CGI, no rubber suits. In case you were a fan of the original, I know I'm still pissed off about it that they did this way. But with CGI, you could have done something different with the look of the turtles, which they did, but they chose not turtles. They looked as if Voldemort had sex with a turtle, if that was even possible, or to comprehend. I'm gonna let you know, the fans alike, like me, if you're a fan of the comic books, you are not going to be happy with this film at all. The only thing this film is good for is a good laugh, because for some unknown reason, I ended up laughing a lot, whether it was being towards the jokes or against it, and not to mention it's bringing in a new generation of fans, which is fine. A new generation of Turtle fans is what we need. is what we want. And I mean, otherwise, I am not going to recommend this. If you're an older fan, I am completely sorry, but this is a horrible, horrible reboot to watch, and I do not recommend it. But let's see if I will recommend the next one. But I also will recommend the next one in, I believe so. I don't even know anymore because I didn't even write the script for it yet. But if you can, so like, subscribe to my channel, because I know you can do that because you're awesome. I mean, what Gare Bear isn't without a great subscription to the Gare Bear Review and his awesomeness. We're actually going to start something new on this channel, so just stay tuned for that. Also, stay tuned for the next adventure, because we're gonna be hitting the lights, hitting the siren, because we're going to be cops, and let's be cops. So stay tuned for that.